And welcome back, and now we're along with two SEMO sports officials. We have Tim Harmon in the middle here, and to my far left we have Pat Sarda, and they're along with us today for Officials Day here on YHC. It's what everybody's been waiting for, guys. We took the phone off the hook so we don't get the complaints coming in all at once.
I'm sure they'll be rolling in.
And we have a lot of fun here. We try to line up officials here on the last day of our roundtable. Last year we had Lloyd Rice on to talk about y'all's organization with the SEMO officials when it comes to basketball, and also we had Lee Jones, the official of the year last year, and I don't think he defended his crown, did he?
I don't think so.
Not after the Clarkton game.
Oh boy, that's a story in of itself.
I was there too, so.
All right, but we glad to have you guys on today, and you guys officiate actually more than one sport throughout the year.
Yeah, both of us officiate football, also basketball and baseball.
Wow, all three, huh?
Mm-hmm.
And y'all done some big games over the years as well. Of course, you know, if you get in it long enough, you're going to be advancing and playing in or officiating postseason games when it comes to state tournaments and things like that. So, talk a little bit about the games that you've repped here in the past few years that really stand out to people.
Well, in 09 and 010, I did the 3A football state finals, and I got to do the 4A, 5A basketball finals, and I did the 1A, 2A baseball, all in the same school year. So recently, that's the biggest games I've done.
Sure, it's all in the school, all in one school year. Wow,
yep. Trifecta.
Yeah, you're a three-sport official.
That's right.
Yeah. We have three-sport athletes out there, but you're a three-sport official. You're in the big time too, getting to the state finals in all of those sports. And Tim, you of course you're the baseball coach there down at Malden High School. So, do you actually officiate baseball as well?
Still keep my license. Several years ago, many years ago actually, when I got out of college, I actually went to umpire school. Went down to Florida right after I graduated, and got into the umpiring. Went to the Harry Wendelstedt School of Baseball Officiating, and kind of made it out of there, and had an opportunity to do some semi-pro games and do some college baseball. And when I came home, did a lot of high school ball, and within a couple of years, I was in the state tournament, and that was really my first Final Four. I can't even remember how long ago it was, but got to do the Final Four there at Missouri's home field there in Columbia, and a good experience for me. And then after that, I thought it might be a career for me, and Cooter High School actually called and offered me a job, and back then $25,000 was pretty big money, so for a young kid. So I took that opportunity, and have still umpired baseball over the years, and kept my license, and got more and more involved into the basketball really, and have had an opportunity to call 3 Final Fours there. Most recently, a couple years ago, I did the 3A state championship when Maplewood won the championship there.
That's in basketball?
In basketball, yeah. And actually, when I went from Cooter to Poplar Bluff to be head coach, Pat was actually my assistant. I actually took over for Pat. So Pat and I go a long way back. We played Legion ball together, and then he helped me there at Poplar Bluff when I was head coach. And a friend of ours, Ben Godwin, talked to me one day and said, "Hey, how about a referee in some football?" Small town boy from Holcomb, I didn't have much of a background in football, other than a fan, and fans a lot of times don't know the rules and don't know the ins and outs of the game, and he talked me into it. And my first game, we went on the road to North County. Had never officiated a football game, period, little league, junior high or anything, and me being nervous, something new, and them guys said, we're going to put you in the back, we're going to hide you. High school football, they don't throw the ball, they'll just run it. I think North County chunked it about 60 times that game, so I got broke in real good. And now I've been doing it about 10 years, and most recently this past year, our crew got to do the 5A state championship game.
Wow.
McClure North against some team out of St. Louis. But yeah, a real exciting deal there in St. Louis, and a good opportunity, and had a good time.
Wow, that's quite an experience there. So you're in all 3 sports as well.
Also, yes.
All right, and I think the most memorable game people may realize in this area, I think you did a few years ago, the Scott County Central and Sykeston game, the one out at the Show Me Center, the first one they did.
Yeah, first game that those teams had played in a long time, and a great atmosphere, great crowd, and
sellout
crowd,
crowd,
and came down to to a big shot.
Very last play, yeah.
And a very big game.
Sure was, and that's probably the most memorable game here in the past few years here in Southeast Missouri. Sellout crowd in the Show Me Center, around 9,000 or so. So
Yeah.
that was a big contest. And Pat, of the three sports, what's your favorite, least favorite, or most difficult for you?
Football's my favorite.
Your favorite?
I just like getting out there and, around all those kids, all the hitting, and it's a lot of fun, and it get a little dangerous sometimes. You get kicked here and there or roll an ankle here and there. But
now, what official are you?
I'm the linesman. I'm on the chains.
Okay.
So I always get the visiting team coach right in my ear.
All right.
That keeps it interesting.
I'm actually on the other side.
Yeah.
I'm the line judge. I get the home team.
Now, do football coaches get a little bit more leeway than basketball coaches when it comes to that?
Absolutely.
I think football is kind of unique where the fans are off the field quite a bit. You don't hear much interaction with the fans is bad, and the coaches can talk to you a little more bluntly, and you can let some of that stuff go.
So is it just the fact that you don't hear so much? So when you hear just a little bit of it, you can your threshold.
You don't hear a lot from the fans, like Tim was saying. But most of the coaches in this area are pretty good. They, if they want something, they'll come up and ask you properly. But after a while, you might get an earful here and there.
Yeah, especially Pat probably hears it more than I do because a lot of times the visiting school, and it seems like always the visiting school thinks they're getting jabbed a little bit here or there, and he probably hears a little more than I do. But like I said, most time coaches are pretty good, and when they want something or they want you to look at something, most of the guys here in Southeast Missouri are pretty good about, hey Tim, would you watch this a little bit? Could you watch this? And until you get into the playoffs, and then you get when everything means a little more, tempers into get jacked up a little bit, Yeah. That tends to happen in football.
One thing where I catch most of it from, if there's a call from made by somebody else, they can't yell at that guy, so they come to me. A lot of times like, yeah, I agree with you. Or I just don't say anything, but that's where I get most of it from.
Yeah. Now, Tim, what about you? What's your easiest or favorite one to officiate?
Easiest, I say is football. Easiest in the fact where you got five guys out there with you, and a lot of that stuff in the middle, we can't see from the sideline, and the game's high speed, and especially in the line. Pat probably agree with me. You might see you could probably call a hold every play if you wanted to, and you just kind of got to pick pick when you think it affected the play or that. So I think football's the easiest. The hardest is probably, and Pat may disagree, I think baseball's the hardest in my opinion because the game's so much slower and every pitch is magnified and every play on the base is magnified and the bases are definitely harder than the plate.
Yes,
in my mind because the home plate umpire has to be mentally ready every pitch, and you're really working hard and on the bases you may have one play a game. And then, if you're not alert and you miss it, it's magnified big and it's so slow that, the fans can kind of hoot for a while after a play. Basketball, the speed is more difficult because it's a little faster. But and in basketball, there's so many plays in the game, and we know when we miss one most of the time. But basketball's fast enough. As soon as you miss one, you ain't got time to think about it because something else is going on.
Right. Yeah, with baseball, the bases just seem so difficult. Like you said, it's so slow. Those eyes kind of slow down, and then finally, when it picks up, you got to close play at first, or you got to tag. I tell you, that is the toughest thing.
Another thing in baseball, or in the bases, at the high school level, anything can happen out there. You don't know where they're going to throw the baseball, and you just kind of got to anticipate and. And think ahead, like, okay, what happens if the ball's hit here or hit there? Where am I going to go? But because you just don't know where they're going to throw it.
Yeah,
Tim knows that well.
You get a lot of, I'm coach and official too. You get a lot of crazy plays in baseball. And like I said, you got to just kind of slow it down in your mind and slow the thing down and don't make a call too soon. And I think that's the biggest mistake a lot of officials make. They want to make that call too soon and before it really develops and before you really got a chance to register everything that went on.
How long have you been in officiating, Pat?
Football for I think 22 years, basketball about 15 to 18, and baseball about 15 or 18 years, somewhere right in that range. I'm not exactly sure, but
Tim, you said you started out, right out of school going.
Right out of high
baseball.
school, I think I've been in it now 26 years, maybe, baseball and basketball, and football about 10 for football, 10 or 11.
So you guys got some experience under your belt, doing some big games at the state level, and what's say your most memorable game that you've officiated in any one of the sports?
Probably this last football season, we did the 5A semifinals at Kirkwood, McClure North and Kirkwood, which they play every Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
But they were playing, that Saturday before for the semifinals of the state tournament, and it was a packed house. It was on TV up there, and it was probably 10,000 people, and they had a brand new turf field. Nicest turf field I've been on. It'd been nicer than the Dome and a couple other places, but and it was just loud and right on top of you. All the fans were, so that's probably the most memorable one.
What about you, Tim?
Football, of course, would be the game. We just finished up the 5A state championship game, and basketball. I mean, man, I've done so many district championships and so many. Just so many jump out. There's so many good teams around here, and the Sykeston Scott County game you alluded to was, of course, a good game. There's just so many different. In the big games, I think Pat agreed. The big games usually take care of themselves. It's such a great atmosphere, and the fans are of course involved, and believe it or not, the more fans that are there, the better it is for the officials, because we don't really hear much.
Yeah.
We're concentrating on what's going on in the court, and the games kind of take care of themselves. Once everybody relaxes and once everybody gets into the flow, it takes care of itself. A lot of Bloomfield Christmas finals, jump out right now. A lot of big games there, and just too many to really pinpoint one.
Yeah, and you've got many years of experience of officiating in all three sports when it comes for the boys, anyways. How can someone get involved? If someone's out there that thought about doing it and not really come around to it, but just don't really know how to get involved, how can someone get involved in officiating in any one of the sports?
Well, the first thing you have to do is you need to contact somebody locally like Lloyd Rice or Randy Winston in this area for basketball. Head of the association right here in Dexter, Rick Williams is kind of the head of our association for this area, and that's who you really need to contact. Find out who's the head of an association, and then they can kind of walk you through it and tell you what's going on and what you need to do. And the association will help you as well. When we bring in new people, we help them take the test, and they go to mechanics meetings and stuff like that. So
yeah, if they want to do that, you can get online on your computer and get on the MISHA website, mshsaa.org, and I think there's a tab there that says Become an Official. And I think all young men and women both should look at that as a good way to make extra money. That's really why I got into it. After high school, Randy Winston was my former coach, and he talked me into getting my license, and you can make more money than you can out here flipping burgers at McDonald's, and it's a lot better experience for you, I think, and it's a great way to meet people, and especially if you're going to get into the field of teaching and coaching, it's a great way to meet people.
Yeah, I encourage a lot of kids that I umpire or referee games, that I know. I say, hey, you need to get your license in this sport or that sport when you get out of high school and make you a little extra money.
Sure. What's nice is those associations that you alluded to. I know Lloyd Rice is the assigner for the Basketball Association. We had him on last year to talk about what that association is. Basically a group of officials that get together, and Lloyd actually assigns you all games, so it's not like that's what makes it convenient for you all. You can just join the association, and Lloyd will assign you the games that's good for you. Depending on your experience, and if you're first getting in, he'll assign you more appropriate games for you. So that makes it easier in that regard.
Right, and they do a good job of getting the new officials games. I know there's another association in Bluff, Terry Pennington does, and he's brought in a lot of more baseball and basketball he does, but he gets those new kids in, and he'll send them. They might have to go a little farther than some of the older guys, but they all do a good job of getting the young kids games and working them in, not big games, but just maybe do one JV game a night in basketball. Or
Yeah, that's what I was going to add that Pat just hit on there. I think it's easier to get in now, especially basketball, if you're a young official, because back a long time ago we called two-man crews, and a new official, if you're in a two-man crew, it can be a scary thing, But now with three-man crews and a lot of times Lloyd or Randy will call up and say, "Hey Tim, what about you and Pat taking this young guy with you tonight and letting him call the B game and then help him out with some of the things he needs to work on?" And they're real good. Schools are real good about letting us do that. So I think it's a lot easier now for a young official, especially in basketball, to break in.
Sure, and I don't know how long these associations have been around to where they assign you games, but I know probably at some point a time ago that you had to schedule your own games, so that was tough too if a school wasn't familiar with you. And two-man crews, it might be hard. Might have been hard back when you had to schedule your own games.
Yeah, my schedule usually a year and a half in advance in basketball. I knew where I was going. A year and a half from now. And but since we've been in association, 4 years, 5 years?
3 or 4, yeah, at least.
And now usually around September, our schedule will come out and plug it in your calendar and go.
That part of it's better for us, and I think the ADs like it better, and everybody. And all ADs have a chance to reject or take a certain official, but we all know a year in advance, and we don't have to, if somebody calls and then maybe one of the bigger schools call and offer you a date on the same date that a smaller school called, you don't have to say, hey, I have to work around this or whatever. So this way the association assigns it and everything. You don't have to even get on the phone. So that part of it I like.
Mm-hmm.
Well, guys, we sure appreciate you coming on today and sharing your experiences with us and telling the folks out there how they can get involved if they're interested. I know y'all got a great, fraternity of officials here in our area. It's always fun to see you guys out there, and it's when you get involved, like you said, it's a good way to just meet new friends and become part of an organization or a group of young officials that go out and have a good time at all these ball games and seeing all these great teams in our area. So it's a good way to if you're a sports fan, it's a good way to see all the different teams in the area in a season.
Absolutely.
All right, well, guys, I know you've got fall coming up. You got do y'all do any summer baseball official?
A little bit. Do a little bit.
I coach our local high school team there in the summer, and I kind of take the month of July and August off to kind of recharge batteries and get ready for another year.
Sure.
That basketball season long now. It's long.
Yes, it is.
Pat can tell
takes
you,
more out of you.
It takes a lot out of you, and big game night after night, and when it comes down to the district, we're ready to be done also. We're ready.
Yeah.
All right, so you got football coming up, so you can recharge for that.
Yeah, in June they've got the Sykeston contact camp.
Yeah.
A lot of us will do that, and then there's camps in July and soap games, and then
football's a little easier once a week. You can call a JV game, or we kind of have a real good time JV and junior varsity, and then we of course we're serious, but we mess around with different spots and move around and but football, high school football being once a week, it's not that taxing like basketball.
Sure.
Basketball 4 or 5 nights a week, it gets kind of dead-legged at times.
All right, well, guys, good luck this year, and appreciate you coming in and sharing with us, and we'll look forward to seeing you guys out there next year.
All right, thank you.
you.
All right, that's Tim Harmon.